Hello, everyone. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to another episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. My pleasure, as always. Producer Katie is off this week. She is, I don't know what she's doing. I think she heard that Taylor Swift turned down Travis Kelce, and now she's off to hurt somebody. I mean, T-Swizzle, you done messed up. I'm just saying. Hey, big thank you to last week. Brad came on the show. Hopefully you guys saw that or listened to it or whatever you did. It was great to talk to Brad from KC Running Company. We heard all about the races coming up here in the local area through him for the rest of, at least through most of the fall, if not all the way through the end of the year. There's definitely some more coming up. So if you did not catch last week's episode, make sure that you tune in, go and listen to it, and you'll be all up to date as to most of the races happening in the Kansas City area. I know for some of the listeners that we have that are not in the Kansas City area, it probably was not your most favorite episode ever, just because we're talking about very local stuff. I do apologize for that. Hopefully we'll make up for it a little bit this week, as we're going to talk about something that's not quite just Kansas City related. We're actually going to bring back one of the, I guess it is one of the most favorite segments of the show, or favorite topics. We're going to be talking about races, destination races from all over. So we're going to have that here in a minute. But first, we are going to review the Rock Island Trail. I think it's Rock Island Trail Half Marathon. And the reason I'm debating on that name, you'll find out shortly. So yesterday, as I record this, was Rock Island Half Marathon in Missouri. And it was hot. It was real hot. So this would definitely be the first half marathon I've ever run under an excessive heat warning. And so let me tell you, that was just a mistake in and of itself right there. I have now decided that if there is an excessive heat warning, a half marathon is not in the cards for me. A 5K, sure, maybe, but a half marathon, no. It was ridiculously hot out there. Now, if you listen to last week's show, you will know that Brad opened up the start line well before the 8 a.m. Start. The time that was called for was 8 a.m., but he had that thing open early. I believe I actually set out on the trail to get going with my half marathon at about 7:26 a.m. I was strolled up to the start line. Our good buddy Will, the race director for the KC Hustle Run coming up, he was there working the race. He's like, yep, just let this guy know that you're starting, and he will write down your bibs and the time that you start. We'll alter the times when you finish, based on what your chip time is. And that'll be your official time. But yeah, if you are ready to get going here at 7:26, by all means, get going. And by all means, I did. I took off with a couple other people, actually a little more than a couple, and we kind of got a head start on the race. Now look, there was, of course, no chance I was going to make it all the way down and back for a half marathon and, win this thing or be in front of the people who were certainly more deserving of a higher place than I. And of course, once the times got sorted out, it wouldn't be an issue anyway. But I did hear some rumbling from folks who were a little miffed about the early start. Some of the more, we'll just say the more elite, the more talented runners, I don't think they liked that as they were coming out, they had to pass some of us people who got the early start. You know what? Sorry, maybe. Look, exceptions had to be made. Special circumstance, whatever you want to call it. It was so stinking hot. Some of us really needed that extra time because I knew I wasn't going to have a good race. Now, I didn't know I was going to have as bad a race as I had, but we'll get to that in a second. But I knew it wasn't going to be good. So to all of you super fast people, and not all of you, I heard a couple people rumble. Okay, look, extenuating circumstances. It was hot. We had to get this thing done. Everyone got it done. So, go team, go, rah, rah, rah. So anyway, I got off to an early start. I was running with our guy, Cody. Cody, the ridiculously nice person that we've talked about before, big shout out to him. We ran the first 5+ miles of the race together. He was doing better than me. I was not doing well at all. That heat was getting to me, and it got to me quick. And so thankfully, Cody was having a better race. So a little bit before the turnaround, he headed off to do his thing, to run his race. But we had a good time talking. We were talking about the Energy City Half Marathon down in Midland, Texas that we're both going to go do. So we discussed that a little bit. We talked podcast a little bit. We talked running. We talked food. We talked a lot of food. There was definitely some food talk going on, but we had a good time with that. And so Cody, he moved on. I got to the turnaround. The first half of my race was fine. It was right on par with where I should be. But the second half is where the wheels really fell off, where the temperature just got to be way too much, and it was real bad. And so if you listen to the episode last year, and I'm not going to regurgitate most of it, you'll know I went into a half marathon back in 2022, dehydrated, not in good shape, not hydrating correctly, made many mistakes, and paid for it. This year, fast forward to Rock Island, I was hydrated, and I had been careful, and I had been doing what I was supposed to be doing. Yet with that heat and humidity, I still suffered. Allegedly, the heat index towards the middle of the race was already up to 97 degrees. The heat index was well over 100 by the time we finished. It was very hot, and it was very humid, as there were storms that were supposed to be rolling in, but of course they did not come in and help us at all during this race. They came in definitely late, like later that afternoon, which did no good, but we got no relief from the heat. And by the time, I don't know, with maybe a 5K left, the sun was definitely getting high enough. It was getting over the trees that lined the course, so there wasn't a whole lot of shade. And then at mile 12, that's where everything just went to pieces for me. At mile 12, at the marker, we were out in the middle of it. There was no shade to be had. We were getting back towards the city, onto the asphalt, where things were getting really hot. And this is what freaked me out the most, and why I decided to go into self-preservation mode. Again, it wasn't that I felt I was dehydrated. I knew I had stopped sweating a lot. So I had finally run out, even though I was taking 4 drinks at every aid station. I wasn't skipping aid stations, nor was I just going with one little shot of water. I was taking Gatorade, I was taking water. It just was so hot. It was just too much. But I got to mile 12, and I'm thinking, okay, let me think about tomorrow's episode of the podcast. That always, kind of gives me a distraction, gives me just something to think about. I was at mile marker 12, and I thought, and if you're on YouTube, you'll see I'm looking around lost, because I was lost at that point. I'm like, where am I? What race is this? I can't even think of the name of the race I am currently doing. That was how bad my mind was at mile marker 12 of Rock Island. I honestly couldn't remember the race I was in. I still can't even hardly remember the name of the town. We have too many towns in Missouri that start with P's, whether it was Parkville or Platte City or Pleasant Valley. Where was I? I think I was in Pleasant Valley. Didn't feel very pleasant, but I honestly was struggling. I could not remember the name of the race, to the point I had to pull my shirt out, which of course, was so soaked through, it was sticking to me, look down and read the bib that was on the front of my shirt, because I could not remember the name of the stinking race I was doing. So that really freaked me out. So mile 12 to the finish line, I did not run. I walked the entire thing. And even that, it's like, I just wanted it to be over. Just walking, I did not feel any relief at all. I just wanted it to be done. It was so hot. I was so miserable. I was starting to feel really bad, getting really dizzy. And so thankfully, I saw our buddy from Rexy Run, Christina. She was coming the other way. She walked with me for a minute or two just to make sure I was okay. She's like, yeah, you got to be real careful. You're not looking great. She was absolutely correct. Then I get around the corner. Cody's cheering people on, said hi to him, and then across the finish line. Immediately grabbed 2 bottles of water, found a shady bench, and I set myself down. It was so hot, so gross. There were runners just splayed all over the lawn. Anywhere there was a flat place and shade, there were runners laying in it, because it was just so stinking miserable out there. So thankfully, it sounds like everyone made it through relatively healthy. I know there was one little bit of a health scare. And again, even after the first 5 miles, big ups to Cody. There was a person who was struggling. He was in his truck. His truck was nice and cool. They needed a cool spot to sit down. He threw them up in the cab of his truck. Let a complete stranger sit in his truck and cool off. So good job out of Cody. And ladies, he's single. He's young and single. He's a runner. So cute. So I'm just saying, holler at your boy. Holler at Cody. That's right. Anyway, now that he's either laughing at me or wanting to punch me in the face, either way, we will continue on. So that was really the only medical issue that I heard of, was that woman. Cody took care of her. Ambassador Sarah for the Back of the Pack podcast, one of our ambassadors who works in the medical field. I know she also checked in on the situation, and she was hurting just as bad as I was at the end of that race. But to all the people who were out there, and there's definitely many listeners of this podcast who were there because they knew about the early start. Haha, pays to listen to the show. Great job out of you guys. That medal was so well deserved and so much earned because of the heat and the humidity and just the conditions around that race. And again, I say that race was awful. That is not a reflection on Brad and Casey Running Company. That was a reflection on the stinking temperature and the conditions of the race. Again, the course was great. Everything was great about the race. You can't control the weather, and the weather was flat terrible. So that is our review of Rock Island. Next week, I'll be at the Spencer C. Duncan Make It Count 5K. That is in Gardner, Kansas. So I'm just going with a little 5K. It kind of looks like my entire August is nothing but 5Ks. So that actually works out great because, again, with this heat that we're in, and thankfully we had a little bit of a breakup from it. It's not as hot today, but still it's hot. But only 5Ks in August. I think that's a good call. That'll kind of get us into September, hopefully maintaining our conditioning and maintaining fitness, but not half killing oneself on a race that's just too long and too hot and just, no bueno, no bueno. So I hope I will see many of you next week at Spencer C. Duncan 5K. So what we're going to do this week, again, this is a segment that everyone likes. A little while back, we did our list of unique marathons. That was just kind of, a list compiled of, whether they have some kind of special feature, or they're in a really historic place, or they're in a big city, or whatever the situation was. Well, this week, because we just ran a half marathon, we're going to look at, let's see, what do they call this? This is the list of the 15 best half marathons in the world. Now, other than 5K, if you take away 5Ks, half marathon is the most popular distance that you can run in the entire world. So that is what gets the most registrations. I think that's what people enjoy the most. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And let's go ahead and get started. The number one best half marathon, they say, and producer Katie is going to cringe for a second, but then she'll quickly be okay. But it is the New York City half marathon. That is not run in November with the New York City Marathon. The New York City half marathon is one of the most popular half marathons in the world with around 25,000 participants. The urban race begins in Prospect Park in Brooklyn, traverses the Manhattan Bridge, and passes iconic sites including Times Square, Grand Central Station, and Central Park. The energy of the runners and the cheering fans is thrilling, and the race is a perfect half marathon for those who love big city energy and landmarks. The spring race happens in the middle of March every year. The next one, and this would be one to do. This is the Paris Half Marathon, and it has a very French name that goes along with it. I do not speak the French, so I'm not even going to try it. But the Paris Half Marathon, another popular spring half marathon is the Paris Half Marathon, called the long name in French. You can run through the romantic city of light and see some of the most famous sites, including the Palace de la Bastille, the River Seine, and the Hotel de Ville, I think it is. Yeah, I could be wrong. The picturesque race attracts 40,000 runners from across the world. So that's probably going to be the biggest half marathon I would have ever been a part of. Not that I'm going to Paris anytime soon. Just letting you know that's not going to be a thing. The next one, the London Royal Parks Half Marathon. If you're looking for the best half marathons in the fall months, check out the Royal Parks Half Marathon in London. You'll see iconic London sites along the route, including Buckingham Palace, the House of the Parliament, Trafalgar Square, the Strand, and 3 royal parks. The October race is the perfect time of year to see colorful fall foliage. That's interesting. Oh, well, okay, let's see. It was only during coronavirus that London moved their full marathon into the fall. Normally, it's a spring race. Okay, so yeah, that would be their big fall event. The next one, the BMO Vancouver Half Marathon is fast and scenic and occurs in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. The race is a downhill course, but you won't want to run too fast to see the cultural melting pot tour that goes through the neighborhoods, including Chinatown, Yaletown, and the West End. With picturesque coastal views, the city's natural beauty all around, this half marathon is the perfect late spring race for runners looking for a beautiful city half marathon. I would not have thought of Vancouver as a place for destination race, but apparently I was wrong. The next one, the Great North Run. I've actually heard of this one. The Great North Run is the largest half marathon in the world. The popular race occurs in northeast England between Newcastle upon Tyrone and South Shields, and offers stellar entertainment, a great cheering crowd of thousands of people, and plenty of festivities. You'll pass by Newcastle landmarks, traverse the Tyne Bridge, enjoy seaside views along the North Sea, and you get treated to lots of music along the course. I think we actually know someone, our buddy Colin. I think he did that race last year. This is high on my bucket list of ones to do. I wanted to do it in 2024, but it doesn't look like it's going to work out. But this one would be fun. The Rock and Roll Las Vegas Half Marathon. If you want to see plenty of city lights, check out the Rock and Roll Las Vegas Half Marathon. This person says, I ran this race years ago and will never forget the experience of running along the Vegas Strip at night. The nighttime atmosphere is filled with excitement as you run past iconic Vegas hotels and landmarks. And I think we've talked about this one before on the show. And yeah, they do shut down half of the strip for runners to finish on. I've heard it's really cool because there is not many things that can get them to shut down half of the Las Vegas Strip. The next one, San Francisco Half Marathon. The San Francisco Half Marathon offers a unique running tour of California's city by the bay. You can choose your route for the half marathon, with the first route finishing at breathtaking Golden Gate Park. The second route also offers Golden Gate Bridge views and hits iconic neighborhoods, including the Mission District and, Haight-Ashbury. If you want to combine the city run with sweeping natural views and cultural attractions, the San Francisco Half Marathon is the perfect summer race destination. I'm sorry, the way this person talks in this is messing me up. But, what are you going to do? The way I talk probably messes most people up anyway. Let's see. This says, most scenic half marathons. Some of the best half marathons for stunning natural views include beaches, mountains, and tropical forests. The most picturesque half marathons are great destination races if you're interested in going on a travel adventure. And check out these half marathons with breathtaking views. Okay, so these, I guess, are going to be ones that are really good with views. Oh, wow. Yeah, let's all go sign up and do this one. It wouldn't cost us much money at all, I'm sure. Next on the list, the Great Wall Half in China. Conquer one of your bucket list items, and run along the Great Wall of China at the Great Wall Half, which is part of the run of the Great Wall Marathon event. So same time as the full marathon. This unforgettable race allows you to run on one of the 7 wonders of the world, see incredible views, and tackle one of the most challenging courses that includes thousands of steps. With the opportunity to experience ancient history, the Great Wall Half is an adventure of a lifetime. And when they say steps, they don't just mean steps like what your little Apple Watch is going to, track for you. No, like stairs. There's a lot of stairs on that one. And I'm looking at the picture they show. If you've ever been to the Great Wall of China or you've seen pictures, lots of stairs. You will be going up and down and up and down. Next, the Kilimanjaro Half Marathon. For a challenging, adrenaline-fueled race, you can conquer the tallest freestanding mountain in the world at the Kilimanjaro Half Marathon in Tanzania. Run through the town of Moshi and then take in sweeping panoramic views as you embark on a gradual climb up the mountain. With plenty of crowd support and unparalleled views of the mountain, the Kilimanjaro Half Marathon is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So, really thought Everest was the tallest mountain in the world, but you certainly cannot do any kind of a half marathon up and down that bad boy. So maybe this is just the tallest one you can actually run. The next is the Monterey Bay Half Marathon. Run along the gorgeous Pacific coast of California at the Monterey Bay Half Marathon. If you love beaches, this coastal race fits the bill, offering picturesque views of historic Monterey and crashing waves along the Pacific Grove shoreline. And next, we're going to play a drinking game. Every time they call one of these races picturesque, take a drink. This one, I think we've talked about this one before. Polar Night Half Marathon in Norway. Experience the thrill of an Arctic night winter at the Polar Night Half Marathon in Tromsø, Norway. The early January race is Norway's most popular winter race and happens in the dark, as the sun never rises above the horizon during this time of year in Norway. Watch for the famed northern lights as you embark on this thrilling race. Okay, that one sounds really cool. I think I'm going to have to add that one to the bucket list, because if I can run a half marathon and be looking at the Northern Lights, okay, that sounds really neat. Dude, that's just me. Next one is the Safari Half Marathon in South Africa. The Big 5 Marathon and Half Marathon offer a chance to run wild in South African savanna. You'll have the opportunity to spot some of the Big 5 wildlife, including lions, elephants, rhinos, buffalo, and leopards on this remarkable safari run. Sounds great. How close are the lions and leopards going to get to me? Because if it's down to me having to outrun one of those two creatures, that is not happening, and I'm dinner. So I'm not so sure about that one. The next one is the Kauai Half Marathon in Hawaii. Take a tropical getaway to Hawaii for the Kauai Half Marathon. The palm tree lined course includes stunning beach views, lush tropical foliage, and plenty of crowd support from locals. Experience stunning natural beauty along rugged cliffs, tropical forests, and serene beaches at the scenic half marathon. It's Hawaii, so I'd be in. I would certainly be in for this. Next one, the hopefully I'm saying this right, Bagan Temple Half Marathon in Myanmar. I always want to say Myanmar like in Top Gun, but I don't know if I'm right on that one. Anyway, experience rich history and culture at the Bagan Temple Half Marathon. Let's see, where you'll pass historic sites, including beautiful pagodas and temples. Bagan is home to more than 2,000 temples, and you'll be in awe of the sacred sites on the run. Sounds interesting. This next one I would definitely be in on. This is the Athens Half Marathon in Greece. Journey to the birthplace of marathon race for the Athens Half Marathon in Greece. You'll run through the ancient Greek city and past Greece's parliament buildings, Mount, Lycabettus, probably wrong on that, and the Acropolis, as you soak in the history. So again, because history tells us from way back when that the first marathon was run over in Greece, to do any kind of a distance race, whether it be a full or half in Greece, would be kind of cool as a runner if you care at all about history. If you don't, don't worry about it. So that's the last one that they have on this list. And they said, have you run any of the best half marathons in the world? Comment below with your favorite half marathons. So just to let you know, this was done by a site called runstreet.com. They put this list together. Again, one person's opinion. I would love to know if you guys have done any of the really cool half marathons yourself. Please go ahead and share. As I wave my tablet where I was reading all this in front of the screen. See, producer Katie told me I needed to be farther back from the screen, so I tried that this week. Am I farther back? Does this work? Only those watching on YouTube will know. So I don't know. I think some of those sound super fun. Pretty soon I will do a list of really fun half marathons, but in the United States, because we're kind of looking for destination races. Yes, leaving the country sounds super fun. Also is infinitely more difficult and more expensive. But if we can do things within the country, that would be super cool. As this fall, we're going to the Energy City Half Marathon in Midland, Texas. I'll be up at the Good Life Halvesy in Lincoln, Nebraska. And then for the Memphis Marathon in Memphis, Tennessee in December. So kind of going all over the place, just trying to get some of these destination races done. If you know of any good ones, please share them with me. Share it with the show. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram. I mean, you could tweet at us if you so desired, but I don't think we have a single follower on Twitter. I don't ever really do anything with that. Twitter is just so toxic. I can't stand to be out there. But some of the other forms of social media, I don't know. We probably got it. I just don't use it. So find me on Facebook. I'm old. I still use Facebook. I guess the kids say that's not very cool anymore, but I really don't care. So that's going to do it for this list. Hopefully you saw or you heard something on there that sounded interesting to you. I would love to do some of these races. The one in Norway, the Northern Lights one, I really want to do that one. Also Vegas as well. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, next week we'll be back after the Spencer C. Duncan Make It Count 5K. And we'll be just a couple weeks away from Rexy Run. I told you last week, Rexy Run is coming up. Make sure you get out there and sign up. I want to see everyone in Lawrence for Rexy Run. I don't think there's any other conflicts that weekend. There's a triathlon going on, but as you can see, I will much prefer to do the 5K. So no excuses. Everyone in Lawrence for Rexy Run next weekend. And then if you can believe it, next time I talk to you, we're going to be in August. We just got to get through August, get through some of these 5Ks. Then we're in September, and then it's fall running season. Like, that's crazy, because as soon as we get into September, Plaza 10K, KC Hustle Run, Boulevard 10K, and on we go. And that's, the Heartland Series takes up 3 weeks of September. There's only one other weekend for a race. I'm sure we've all got something. Then we're in stinking October. And in October, that's where all the marathons start kicking in that you're supposed to be training for right now while it's 11 billion degrees outside. So, this running thing is just so simple. I don't know why people complain or why, we're awesome. We make it look so easy, right? No, I did not make it look easy yesterday. That was terrible. Anyway, I'm going to quit yammering on. Again, hopefully next week, producer Katie will be back. Depends on if she gets a hold of T-Swizzle. I don't know. But if you hurt the feelings of Travis Kelce or anyone else on the Kansas City Chiefs, Katie will hurt you. It's going to happen. So don't do it. Don't take your life in your own hands there. Just do not disrespect the Chiefs or the players, and you'll be cool with producer Katie. If you don't, or if you mess with them, you disrespect, I can't protect you. I'm sorry. So anyway, hey, this has been the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. My pleasure. As always, the show is produced by Katie O'Neill, and it is brought to you by OKKC Sports. We'll be back next week with another new episode. Hopefully you will tune in. Oh, one more thing. This show does not happen without the support of everyone. So I just still humbly ask that you like the show whenever you see it pop up on your social medias. Please comment if there's something you like. Please share the show, because that's the only way other people are going to see it. If you share the show and you say, this is why I like the show, other people are more inclined to listen or watch the show. That is how we grow. So if you like what we do, then I need you to pretty please share this with your peoples and get more people involved. Again, that's how we've grown so far. We are a completely organic product. This is just people like, and they tell someone else, and that person likes it, and they tell someone else. That's how we've gotten to where we are. And if we want to keep going, we just got to keep doing it the same way. But I know some people have kind of fallen off, like, oh, maybe I'm not sharing every episode, or I'm not liking it, or I haven't told someone lately. But it is super important. So if you feel called to do so, of course, we would love your recommendation to other folks, because that's how they would get involved. So that's going to do it. We'll see everyone next week. Be super careful with the heat. Have a great week of training.